All right, everyone, congratulations to the nation of Iceland for using abortion, a woman's right to choose, to virtually eliminate Down syndrome from their country. Now, this puts everyone in a sticky situation, unless they happen to be me, because I don't care. It puts people on the left in a sticky situation, because on the one hand, they're like, well, yes, we're absolutely pro-choice. Any denigration of that is totally unacceptable. Women have the unequivocal right to choose. But we're uncomfortable with this because it seems kind of eugenic in nature for them to choose genetically healthy offspring. Uh-oh, I think we've opened a can of worms here. Meanwhile, people on like the moral right, the Bible thumpers, the Deus Vulturs and stuff, they love the idea maybe of the eugenic side of this, but they hate abortion. So they're both struggling, I think, to respond to this. What I would say, I'll give my opinion. I'm 100% pro-choice, and that includes my recognition of the fact that after the quickening, so to speak, it's actually kind of funny that the Bible does mention this. I think the Quran does too, which is even funnier, although it says sperm comes from the kidneys, so, take it or leave it, I suppose. I believe that if a fetus has progressed beyond roughly 6 months, it does have cognitive capabilities. But I don't want the government mandating morality, and I'm going to favor the rights of women over fetal tissue that may or may not count as fully alive or be capable of feeling pain. I'm sorry, but I don't get into that moral side because I can't objectively say that that's the case. But I can objectively say that the woman is a fully sentient being. So I'm 100% pro-choice. If they're using this to eliminate genetic defects from the population, who cares? Not the government's right to complain, not anybody else's right to complain. They're not the ones getting an abortion now. I thought some of the write-ups on this were funny, and here's why. You've got some of these outlets, and they lean left. Like, usually if you asked them about abortion, they'd say we're 100% pro-choice. Abortion is great. All of a sudden, after spending decades saying terminology like kill or baby was unacceptable in the abortion debate, it actually is terminate fetus or fetal tissue. All of a sudden they're saying, oh, they're killing Down syndrome babies or something like that. Like they were already born and people decided to kill them or something, instead of it just being abortion. Oh, how intellectually dishonest they're being when they cover this story. It's causing them to blow a gasket like they were talking about a couple days ago. And people who normally they're like total moralists, they're like, maybe this is okay. Like they're gonna be like, are the Republicans gonna become a pro-abortion party now, and the Democrats are gonna back off and say, oh, we're no longer comfortable with this because my Pope and because my weak individuals, or so we must protect them. And that's really what it boils down to. People on the moral left, they became pro-choice. But I don't think they thought about the ramifications of genetics involved with their pro-choice movement, to the point at which they may eventually abandon it. They may say, okay, well, this is getting, or they'll partially constrain it. They'll say, okay, you can get an abortion, but you can't get it for certain reasons, because they make us feel morally uncomfortable. We never had a moral problem back when people were telling us it was murder. But we do have a moral problem with my eugenics or something, which it isn't. It's just the parents making the choice, hey, I don't want to be saddled with this much greater share of responsibility for a much lower payoff, ultimately. That's the choice that they're making, and it's their choice to make. People should make that choice in the United States, too. I have no problem with it. As for people who are, already alive and they have, like, Down syndrome, I've met some of them. And some of them function fairly well, and there's no real problem. But during the actual rearing process, it's not just a question of that one individual. It's also a question of the parents. Unless the state intends, would you rather these people give birth to children who have Down syndrome, get so frustrated they give them up, put them in an orphanage or something so they can be fucking miserable for years? I wouldn't call that moral. But there are people now on the left probably that'll call that moral too. No, I think it's a wonderful thing that Iceland is doing. It takes care of a problem within their society. And it is, let's not mince words here. It's problematic when you have somebody who is almost inevitably going to be draining more state and or familial resources than they're capable of garnering. And you're attempting to say, in a moral sense, You almost seem like you want to force that family to have that burden, that responsibility, because of your ethical beliefs about eugenics or about genetic healthiness or something. It is difficult. Genetics is really the bane right now of people on the left. Now, whether it boils down to chromosomes that determine gender, as we apply it to every other creature in the world, or whether it boils down to something like this, or autism. What if they start testing for that? I'm sure that at that point they would get riled up. They would have to have a very, very spirited debate amongst themselves as to whether they wanted to remain pro-choice anymore or not. I think they'd probably abandon it. I think they probably will. I think you can look in the next 10 years for people that are what we would generally term left, in the United States especially, but elsewhere too. I think they're going to abandon the pro-choice movement. Now, this doesn't mean Roe v. Wade falls, because people on the other side will take it up as a banner. They'll be like, hey, don't worry, we'll keep protecting women, because we have no problem with this. They'll abandon their religiosity. We see the seeds of that being sown as we speak. The left is becoming more religious. They've embraced the Pope. They've embraced Islam. They're becoming the religious movement of the country. They're becoming the ones that ramble about Jesus would have said such and such about immigration. Jesus would have done this. Muhammad would have done that. It happens now on a daily basis. They're becoming a bunch of total zealots. Another reason that I can't stand with them. And they're going to become the next... It's almost a flippy... It's like another pole reversal of the parties that we're undergoing right now. Most people are oblivious. Of course, Iceland doesn't have that. I think that... Aren't they almost under the control of the pirate party at the moment? Yeah, our mateys, got to abort more children or something like that. I'm sorry, that's funny. Yeah, it'd be great. I hope the pirate party does take hold there, because they're like a pro-internet liberty party. Maybe I should join the pirate party. Maybe I could do that. Maybe I could stand for office with an eye patch and a peg leg or something. I'm just ruminating myself. It has nothing to do with the issue at hand. But yeah, my thoughts on it are, it's okay. Abortion's fine. I have no moral problem with it. It's pragmatic. It's a solution. It's a good thing. That's about all. Peace out.